it's bad. Like it's bad too that during last night's game against Chicago, I was having PTSD flashbacks to back in the 80s. I would listen to the radio. I'd listen to Jim Robson and Tom Larscheid. And whenever the Canucks were not able to score, he would say, the Canucks are buzzing. They sure are buzzing. And I'd be like, Tom, stop with the buzzing. We want a goal.
Yeah.
And last night when they were out shooting Chicago by more than 2-1, I was like, they're buzzing. I could hear Larscheid in my head. It's just, yeah, it's a cycle that keeps repeating itself.
So Marc-Andre Fleury, and again, the tough part is if you didn't catch the Canucks game last night, they lost and got shut out by the Blackhawks, who have had everything swirling around them this year and a brand new head coach. And it's funny, the headline in The Athletic this morning was, listen, we know they have a head coach and we know they won, but they're still probably not very good.
No.
So if that's where Chicago's at, imagine where Vancouver is. And, we were talking about it last episode, Shannon, and I think we really wanted to have you on to get your summation of what's happening here, because what we're hearing from Elliot Friedman on the rumor side of things is that people are starting to take their places in the organization with whatever group they think will be around after what we think is an inevitable culling. Like there probably will be some management changes at some point, they think, and people are sort of going, well, I think this guy will survive. It's almost like an episode of Succession. So
I do get a sense that is probably happening. The part that I'm trying to figure out is this is year 8 under Jim Benning. They didn't have anywhere near this amount of patience with Mike Gillis. The first time they missed the playoffs under Gillis, he was fired, and there were fans chanting for his firing. And I'm Gillis, I understood why he was gone then, but Benning, it just feels like there's this endless patience. And when he sat down at a press conference last week and said, I don't know why we're bad, it's like, holy crap, dude, what? How do you not? You put this team together. You told us that Oliver Ekman-Larsson was still a number 1 defenseman in the NHL, and Ekman-Larsson's been good, but he's not a number 1 defenseman on a playoff team. So you can't just sit there and go, I don't know what the hell happened. Like you wouldn't put up with that for 8 years from your mechanic. So
good point. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with your car.
The endless patience seems to be the issue here, because it's been only 2 solid playoff runs and then just a whole bunch of missing the playoffs for the Canucks. And year after year, Benning keeps coming back and they keep giving him the freedom to make all these moves and to tinker. And they're not getting anywhere, and this is where they're at now. So why do you think that he keeps getting this chance?
I'm not sure what it is. I know they brought in the Sedins this year as sort of to learn the ropes, which I just think is odd. It's the whole thing is weird. And really, I think where Canuck fans started getting frustrated was when Trevor Linden stepped away from the team, because he wanted to do the rebuild. And the Canucks said, no, we want to stay mediocre and try to go for playoffs when they should have been doing the rebuild. So every year they spend to the cap. Every year they're mediocre, minus 2020 when Markstrom and Demko were fantastic in those playoffs. But it almost feels like maybe that gave them this idea that, hey, we're close. And then they let Toffoli go. They let Stetcher go. They let all these guys go for nothing. And it's not better. So if they're going to make a move, I hope they do it before the trade deadline, because I think if they have Benning do another trade deadline where he can trade draft picks for more guys in their mid-20s, I think the fan base will lose it.
So everything you just described about the Vancouver Canucks is exactly what the Leafs were out of the full season lockout in 04-05.
Yep.
Let's keep trying to compete even though the writing is on the wall. Let's make decisions that are nonsensical from a managerial perspective. And that was a team that was notorious for ownership meddling. Is that what's happening here in Vancouver? Because from this outsider's perspective, it sure seems like the Aquilinis are pulling the strings here.
The ownership is close to the team. I don't know how close they are to the players, but I know that I get the feeling there's some dysfunction in there too. Last year when you have Bo Horvat basically coming out and going, I don't understand why they let all these guys go. You've got JT Miller had to come out and complain about the schedule when they came back from the COVID pause before they did anything about it. And it kind of feels rudderless. to the point where I don't even know if maybe the players don't know what's going on. A lot of it just feels like everything is broken right now. And it's weird because you mentioned with the Leafs did that. The Flames did it the last few years. Iginla was there. Mm-hmm. They just were going to stay in the hunt, and they were always just below the playoff line, or they were out in the first round. And that can be really frustrating. Whereas a fan, you say, you know what, this isn't working. We need more draft picks. We need more young players. And then you've got Benning moving a first round pick to bring in Garland and Ekman-Larsson. Garland's been great, but Garland and Ekman-Larsson take up over $11 million in cap space.
So you got the whiteboard, and I love that you brought the whiteboard, the famous whiteboard behind you. Tell us what's actually wrong with the Canucks. And what I mean by that is when it comes down to breaking the team down, because no one does this better than you do, what's wrong here in your estimation?
Yes.
Everything.
Okay, they're scoring 2.37 goals per game. That's not enough. They're allowing 3.21. That's too much.
Is that too many?
Their power plays at 16.2%. That's too low. Their penalty kill is 62.3%, which is
shocking.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Their shot differential's good. The weird thing is nobody's complaining about Demko, and rightfully so, because Demko's playing well. So I can't explain how they're out shooting teams and yet looking terrible unless they're not getting the really high quality chances. They get outscored in every single period except overtime, where it's 1-1. Their first period, they're outscored 19-9 in the first. So they allow the first goal in almost every single game. So you can kind of, I'm going to head out. It's just they're 27th overall in the NHL. They're 28th in points percentage, though. So they're ahead of one team that actually has a better points percentage. And they're 5 points back of a playoff spot, and they've played 2 more games. So pick it. It's all a mess right now.
So the shot differential thing, I look at your board, and it seems like basically just score effects, because they're losing at the beginning of almost every game. So Of course, they're at least keeping up in the shot category. So I don't even know if they can hang their head on that. But here, there's always, we complain about the Leafs not starting on time, not so much lately, but it's been a problem for a while, not starting on time. And some people put that up to coaching. Where are you at with Travis Green as the coach of the Vancouver Canucks? Because I understand arguments for firing him and against it. What I don't understand is how firing him fixes anything.
I don't think it necessarily does, because the number one issue scoring wise is Pettersson. It does not look like Pettersson. He has 3 goals and 7 assists in 19 games. Now, maybe there's a coach out there that can get more out of him, but I've seen maybe if they get rid of Travis Green, they can bring in Bruce Boudreau. I don't want to see another recycled coach end up coming into Vancouver. I don't think it's weird too, because all last year, all we heard about was how Travis Green was a lame duck coach and how terrible a Canucks organization was because they didn't extend their coaches. Now they extended all their coaches, and now everybody wants the coach fired. So I really think that what the Canucks have, their systemic problems. I think the special teams coach should probably be one that's under fire when your power play and your penalty kill both look terrible, especially when the team doesn't score enough 5-on-5. Them allowing the first goal every game tells me Travis Green should be on the hot seat. Mm-hmm. But I don't get the feeling that that's imminent unless we see a situation where both are gone at the same time. And Aquilini steps in and says, this is it. And I've said in videos lately, for that to happen, the Canucks have to lose, and it has to be spectacular. Because too many times I've gotten mad because they'll lose a game, and you'll see whether it's Green or one of the players going, well, we had chances. We played well tonight. Oh. And if we keep doing what we're doing, it'll turn around. It's not, though. You guys are in really deep trouble. So the idea of, well, it'll get better on its own. It's really frustrating to hear that.